Hey there, it's Kat and this is Brews and Reviews. So first of all, sorry if you can hear that horrendous drilling sound. Some workmen are digging up the street outside my house to install virgin lines in the pavement. I think they're filling it in now, but it's like and I hate it. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing some washing up, and that's where we start this video. So yesterday I started listening to a book called Don't Look Back by Laura Lippman, and I have problems. I had problems within the first 9 minutes of this book, so that should tell you a lot. An hour and a half in, I actually had to stop and ask you guys on Twitter whether you wanted me to do a Complaints with Cat video on it, because otherwise I was going to DNF it. And you guys agreed, well, most of you agreed that you were going to watch this video, so I thought, well, why the hell not? Well, the hell not? Why the hell not? I'm doing this video now, and here we go. So the premise of this book is that at 15, this girl got kidnapped and raped by a serial killer, and he lets her go instead of killing her. And then years later, she gets a letter from him, and then it goes from there. So he's obviously a creeper, but he's on death row, and then she's reacting to what he's done. So it goes between the present day and flashbacks from when she was 15. And I got problems. So it starts off with the family moving back from the UK to the US, and the daughter being a total asshole. She's like a teenager who thinks she's really cool, and she's like, Mom, it's pronounced soccer, not football. And it's like, shut up, just what? It's like every sentence that she says is like, no Mum, it's like this, not like this. Like, you need to be grounded, young child. So she's fucking annoying. But then 9 minutes into this audiobook, the mum is like, I know, I'm monitoring her IMs because I want to see exactly what she's been talking about. So far they've been innocent enough, but she keeps asking me for a phone, and I don't know if I can monitor her text messages. So what am I going to do? I don't know. So first of all, mother, step off. That is an invasion of privacy, even if your teenage daughter is a dick. So I just don't do that. There are better ways to parent than actually invading your child's privacy. That's all I've got to say on that matter. Anyway, so then she gets a letter from this serial killer who has somehow found her, even though she's changed her name, she's moved around, she's literally lived in the UK rather than in America, and she's moved back here. She gets a letter from him, and she's just like, oh, a letter from this guy that raped me. Okay. She's like, not bothered. I'm like, what? If I'd been kidnapped and raped by a guy, and then I got a letter from him, I'd be like, what the fuck? And totally people get their own reactions to things, but that's a seriously traumatic incident, and the way that she's reacting to it is so unbelievable to me. I'm like, are you not revisiting your trauma right now? Is that okay? So it just feels a little bit unrealistic to me. Now my next thing is that this book is seriously triggering for people with eating disorders. So I'm going to give you a chance now, if you are triggered by eating disorders, obviously triggered by rape and murder as well, please don't, watch this video. Please, I will feel no pain if you do leave. I totally understand. So, okay, now that the people who need to leave have gone, it flashes back to when she was 15, and she has this inner monologue. And the only thing that she talks about is how mean her sister is and how much she wants to throw up, because she thinks that she's got a pot belly, maybe. It's not treated as though she has an eating disorder. It specifically references the fact that her friend has told her it's cool to throw up. So she can eat whatever she wants as long as she throws it up. And I am mind-boggled by this attitude. Do people really think like this? Eating disorders are not something to fuck around with, and it makes me genuinely angry that, the way that this book is portraying this character, saying you know what, I've never been able to throw up today. And you know what, it's only a problem if you can't stop. So today, I am going to have a milkshake and a burger, and I'm going to learn how to throw up. This will be the day. I could use a feather or a broom handle or something. I can make myself throw up. And I'm like, no, stop. Stop. It's not okay. She's monologued it for about 5 pages, and it just makes me so angry. So, anyway, now we've got up to the hour and a half that I'm into this 11-hour audiobook, and I'm gonna carry on reading it, and I'll let you know my thoughts, or if there are any specific passages that bring me great anger. So, yay. Just doing a bit of cleaning and listening to Don't Look Back, and like, the main character has literally just said that she feels revulsion towards her daughter, which is a horrible, horrible thing. Like, what sort of parent are you? Ugh. She just had a conversation with her sister because she decided she was going to write back to the serial killer. And she's super calm about it because, as you are, if you're writing to the guy that kidnapped and raped you, I guess. And her sister is a bit of an asshole too. She's really, really fucking pretentious. She's like, the written word must be followed through and blah, 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 blah. The world is too fast moving and we shouldn't use email or websites. And I'm like, dear God, shoot me in the face, because I can't be dealing with people like that. Anyway, so far the only character that hasn't super offended me is the husband and the serial killer, which I don't think should be happening because he's murdered 2 girls already. And he just sounds like a serial killer, and like I feel like I'm getting his measure, but like everyone else is just sort of an asshole kind of person, and it's really annoying to read. So I'm gonna carry on now. Ew, this is so gross. I hate it so much. Honestly, so 15-year-old has just been kidnapped and he's like tied her down to a bed and she's anticipating what he's gonna do, and then she thinks about this soap opera where, I don't know, someone got kidnapped, basically Stockholm Syndrome, and they got married in the soap opera. And like, she basically just says he'd been driven to commit all these crimes because like he loved her so much, and that one of her crimes had been an assault on his alleged beloved was tricky, but they understood. To be loved that way, to be desired to the point where you drove a man mad, what more could any girl want? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, oh yes, girls love to be raped. No. Oh my God, I'm only on page 72. There's like so many pages. There's like almost 400 pages of this shit. I hate it. So now there's sections where, you know, she's just been kidnapped and she's like doing as he says because, you know, that's how you survive in that sort of situation. And fair enough, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit weird. There's nothing else like sort of problematic for it for the moment, except for now we're going back to the future where she's received a phone call from some random lady who's like, yeah, I'm his attorney and I'm just doing him a favor. Can I put you on the serial killer's call list? Because, I mean, he wants to talk to you. And she's like, no, thanks. No. And she tells her husband about it. And he's like, oh my God, I'm going to find out who it is and find out what the hell's going on. She's like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, shouldn't you be more worried that someone has your phone number and all blah, blah, blah? I don't know. I really don't know. But like, it's just weird, her reactions to like this guy trying to get back into contact with her. Ugh, it's just weird. I don't like it, but it's not being terrible right now. So I'll give it that. It stopped being like problematic in the sense that it was before. So we'll just carry on reading and see what happens. Literally, like a second later, I press play again, and then she's like racially profiling someone. Like, what a horrible woman. She's like, oh yeah, this woman has an unusual name. She must be black. And I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me? This character is the worst. Just the worst. And do you know what's worse? This is the adult version of this character. This isn't the child version, the adult version. What the fuck? And now she's looked up this woman who is contacting her for like the serial killer, and she found the one picture she can of her, and it was from when she was attacked, like knifed by this kid that was at school, and there's a whole backstory there, right? But her comment was, oh well, we don't compare suffering, but you know, I got it worse. It's like super implied that like because she got raped it was worse than this woman that had been knifed. Okay, trauma in any capacity is trauma, and let's not invalidate other people's trauma. And also, this main character is a trash asshole, and I hate her. Okay, so literally just as I started eating my breakfast, the funniest thing happens. Her daughter's gone in her purse and she's like, why have you gone in my purse? And the daughter's like, oh, I just went in there because I needed $1 for a classmate's, birthday, and and it's the girl, she needs it. And the mum's like, don't go in my purse, it's a violation of my privacy. And the daughter's like, you go in my purse, and also doesn't know that she reads her IMs and the text message thing. And I'm like, oh my god, pot kettle, you're both black. Now honestly, I don't know if this is taking the piss or not, but she's basically talking about this woman going to the media, and she's like, oh, I don't want that. And her husband says, I can't imagine a responsible news organisation that would write about you if you weren't interested in cooperating. They lived in Britain, right? I don't know when this book was published, but there was a whole scandal where the media, the news of the world, invaded people's privacy, and the McCanns and everything like that with their 2010. So I'm pretty sure the person who wrote this must have known that the media are assholes and look into private texts and publish news stories based on those and things like that. That was a whole thing. Surely that's taking the piss, because I can't believe that the person who wrote this thought, yeah, no, the media are great, yeah. So sorry for the hair change, I've just dyed my hair, so, it's up, it's wet, and this is how we're going to be for a little while. Eliza's parenting had always been natural and easy. Does that explain why your child's an asshole and you're a bad parent? Maybe, I don't know. I'm frustrated by this book because, it's gone off of the truly terrible sort of things that were making it super problematic, but we've hit a bit where she's just had a conversation with the guy that kidnapped and raped her, and she was just having a normal conversation, and then she's hung it up, and then she's like, oh, please make him leave me alone. How about don't accept him as a call list? She actually had to apply for him to be able to contact her. She had to fill out a bunch of forms. She had to sort of let him come into contact with her. If you don't want that, don't let him. So now we're getting the history of why this Barbara, by the way, was the name of the woman who the main character said, is she black? Because she's got a weird name. So we're now getting the history of why she is sort of championing the serial killer guy. And she's a dick too, as it turns out. She was like, oh, well, I wanted to have a serial killer asshole to myself so that I could imagine that he's great and I can save him and rehabilitate him. Really? What is it with everyone in this book? They're just dicks. Look how far through I am this book. I'm past halfway, just. And I just feel I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so this woman is clearly jealous of the main character. She's like, oh, he's gonna die because you are saying that he did this, blah, 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 or he didn't do this, blah, 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 blah. But she's jealous, and it makes no sense, because what? This is just he's a murderer and a rapist, and you're a woman who's a lawyer, and why? I don't understand. It's very confusing. Okay, so I'm finished. Now, the end of this book was not terrible. It wasn't the worst book that I've ever read. I just had a lot of problems with the beginning. So, yes, while this is still a Complaints with Cat video, because I do have things to complain about, obviously, it isn't an altogether terrible book. It's just not a good one. So I'll go into the things that I had the biggest problem with. I have obviously already mentioned those things as I've been vlogging, but my biggest problem is that there were a lot of things in here that didn't need to be in here. Like the eating disorder thing. It never came up again after that initial bit. And it didn't make any sense. Why was it necessary? Why did it need to be included there? And the asshole parenting and the weird racist thing that just didn't need to be there. It was mentioned once. So it didn't seem like Laura Lippman was trying to make the main character unlikable. It just seemed like that was a part of her character, and that was fine, that she was casually racist or a terrible parent who was an asshole and invaded her child's privacy. Like, I don't know. It didn't seem to me like it was relevant to the plot, and it didn't add anything to it. It only took away. And that was my biggest problem with it, is the things that were taking away from it were taking away in like such a hard fashion that I was like, ugh, ooh, no, ooh, no, no. I didn't like that. The overall story was okay. It was a bit boring though, just in general. Like, stuff happens, but really, really slowly, and not actually that much. So when you get to the end, you're like, alright, okay, that's the end then. I didn't feel like I went on a journey with the main character. The whole story is just a thing that exists. There was no big twist. There was no just anything to it, really. It was substanceless. And that is a terrible crime. So anyway, I didn't really enjoy this book. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars. So it wasn't a 1 out of 5 stars, but the things that bothered me really bothered me. So it's not a good book, but it's not the worst thing I've ever read. So I hope you enjoyed this Complaints with Cat video. It wasn't to the standard of some of these books that I've read and ranted about, but I think the things I had to complain about were justified enough to, you know, film me ranting about it. So I don't know. Have you read this book? Let me know what you thought about it, if you had noticed the same things that I did and like disliked it. I'm not inclined to pick up anything else by Laura Lippman after reading this, and I'm probably gonna like underhaul this book because I can't see myself ever even like looking its way again. So that's that really. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.